Hey, what's up guys, it's Michael from Family Gamer Review, and today we're going to review Claire Extended Cut. Claire Extended Cut is rated M for mature. It's available on the Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC. Now, Claire Extended Cut is a 2.5D survival horror game. Now, this game uses the classic graphics as well as the classic formula of narrow corridors, long hallways, dark creepy settings to set the tone for this, survival horror. Now, the game itself is, they do say it's violence, but to be honest with you, I have not seen any, as it's just mostly just, jump scares here and there and so forth. There is no guns in the game whatsoever. However, the monsters in the game you cannot fight back on, and I won't give away the spoiler to this, as this is going to be a spoiler-free review. But the story revolves around Claire. She's visiting her mother in the hospital, and there's something that goes aware. And then from there, you as Claire, you have to figure out what's going on. So you roam through the hospital and other levels, picking up clues, items, and so forth, while you're avoiding the monsters itself. Now, this goes back to the classic survival horror strategy of the 80s and early 90s games, where it was more about the survival horror, surviving a monster versus, picking up weapons and so forth. For the reason being, it being a survival horror game, we did not test this with our early children or preteens, as it was kind of scary because of the sound and graphics and so forth. And with our special needs family members, we did test this limitedly, and they were happy with the game, but it did scare them also, so we did a limited play test with them as well. That being said, we'll cover everything in our honest review, but if you are looking for a survival horror game, this is a great game to have, and we'll go into that in a few moments. But as you can see here, a lot of darkness, to set the mood, you see how like the screen flashes just like any horror movie. But let's get into that in the honest review. In the review itself, I'm going to keep this as spoiler-free as possible because the game itself has a great story. Now, let's touch on to graphics and sound. Now, being a survival horror game, there are a lot of scary moments in the game, scary graphics, depictions of the monsters and so forth, and the sounds that accompany with that. So this game is not going to be something that you want to play around early, younger children, preteens, or anyone that is not a fan of survival horror. One thing that the company did right, Hailstorm Games, is they actually did a great job making you feel that you're in a claustrophobic setting. With limited supplies, limited weapons, and so forth, you have to play as someone that's always on the run. Now, with that all being there, this is actually a decent game for people that do like survival horror. And for those that want a challenge, there are harder modes in the game where the game itself becomes harder, making things more difficult. As Claire, you have to balance both your health and your anxiety. And, that's where the items come in, like different types of sodas, coffees, sports drinks, and so forth. You do have save points, and, you can save your game. Now, few things that we had some trouble with here was, number one, there's no hand holding. So if you're looking for a game to tell you what to do and how to do it, you're not going to find it here. But that's actually kind of a good thing, because survival horror is based on just, trial and error. One thing we didn't like about the game is a lot of backtracking, because the game itself has a lot of backtracking in it. You have to backtrack a lot when it comes to finding things, going back here, doing this, doing that. It was a lot of little bit of a fetch me missions with certain, characters and so forth. Again, this is spoiler free, but you would see that a lot happening in the game. The story itself is a decent story. I mean, there's nothing, I would say nothing objectionable to what's going on, again, without going into full detail, but I would openly say that this is a game not meant for children. So if you're looking for a game that's meant for the whole entire family, Claire Extended Cut is more meant for your teenagers to young adults, and we would probably recommend it from there. We would not recommend this for early childhood or preteen, as there is a lot of scare factor. And as far as special needs, as we tested with our family members with Asperger's and autism, they did play a limited of it. They enjoyed the fact of going around looking for items and so forth, but they did also get scared also. So again, that's something to keep in mind when you are trying this game. Does it mean that it's not meant for you to have in your digital library? No, this is actually a very good game. It's not meant to be played by all family members. So in closing, we gave it an 8. We loved the game. We thought the game was fantastic. We thought the game's graphics and stories were phenomenal. Some of the backtracking was a little tiresome, and other than that, it was a great game. So, in closing, I felt, when we did the review, it was a great game. It was a game that needed to be played in order to experience it. It's a great story to it. Some of the backtracking and, going back and forth was a little tiresome. Running from the monsters kind of got a little old a little quickly, but as you progress in the game, you kind of learn how to outrun the monsters and how out-hide them and so forth. I say again, if you're in the market for a good survival horror game, this is the game that you want. This is the game that you want to play, and you're going to enjoy it. But keep in mind, for family members that are purchasing this is not meant for younger children or for preteens because of the scare and horror factor. This is Michael from Family Gamer Review. I thank you so much for watching, and you guys take care.